was only 15 years old. Her life ended before it truly began. Yet the person who took it may one day walk free. The question of mercy remains. Where was the mercy in this crime? Stay with me, subscribe, and share this story. Help keep her memory alive and raise awareness about crimes that shouldn't be ignored. Quietly developing, setting the stage for the tragic events that would shock the community. Riley Crossman was born on December 22, 2003, in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. She was the oldest of 4 siblings and described by her family as a kind, loving, and talented teenager. Riley had a natural spark, whether through her dance routines, singing, or her artwork. She had a way of brightening the lives of those around her. Creativity wasn't just a hobby, it was a part of who she was, and her friends often marveled at her dedication and talent. At home, Riley lived with her mother, Chantel Oakley, and her mother's boyfriend, Andy McCauley. Despite the sometimes complex household dynamics, Riley maintained a very close and loving relationship with her father, Lance Crossman. That he described her as compassionate, smart, and someone who always looked out for her younger siblings. Like many teenagers, Riley was exploring relationships, and she had been dating her classmate, Hayden Lacey, for 8 months. Friends said the two were happy together, sharing typical teenage experiences, school events, and everyday moments. On the surface, Riley's life seemed ordinary, filled with family, friends, hobbies, and dreams for the future, but behind the smiles and normal routines, troubling circumstances were quietly developing. Riley's trust in the people around her, combined with hidden dangers within her home environment, would eventually lead to a chain of events that shocked the entire community. Her story serves as a reminder of how quickly life can change and how important it is to recognize warning signs. On May 7, 2019, Riley Crossman returned home from school around 3:30 p.m. Her mother, Chantel Oakley, was asleep on the couch, recovering from an illness. When Riley gently tried to wake her, Chantel snapped. Frustrated and irritable, tensions were brief but noticeable, a small moment of conflict that would unknowingly become the last ordinary interaction between mother and daughter. After this, Chantel left for her evening shift, unaware that she would never see Riley alive again. That simple act of leaving the house marked a devastating turning point for Riley. It was a normal afternoon. She went about her routine, perhaps finishing homework or spending time in her room, completely unaware of the danger looming nearby. Family later recalled that nothing seemed out of the ordinary that day. Friends expected her to come home, share stories from school, and settle into a normal evening, but that evening would change everything. May 7, 2019, is now remembered as the last day Riley Crossman lived a normal teenage life. A day that began like any other ended in tragedy, leaving her family, friends, and the community shocked and searching for answers. That night, Chantel Oakley returned home around 10 p.m. from her evening shift. The house was quiet. Andy McCauley, her mother's boyfriend, was asleep on the couch. Riley's bedroom door was closed, giving the impression that everything was normal. Chantel assumed her daughter had gone to bed early, tired from the school day. There were no signs of struggle, no unusual sounds, just the ordinary quiet of a house settling in for the night. It was a typical evening, the kind every parent expects before sending their child off to dreamland. Little did anyone know, this would be the last time Riley Crossman's family assumed she was safe at home. By morning, that normalcy would shatter. The closed bedroom door became a haunting symbol of the danger that had quietly entered her life, a danger that would turn a familiar home into the scene of tragedy. The morning of May 8, 2019, began like any other, or so it seemed, but something was immediately off. Riley Crossman didn't follow her usual morning routine. Her bedroom, normally full of life and signs of activity, was empty. Personal items she always kept close were left behind, her glasses, her phone charger. Small details that would soon feel like glaring red flags. The room appeared unusually disturbed, as if someone had hurriedly been there or something had been taken without care. Chantel Oakley assumed Riley had left early to see her boyfriend, Hayden Lacey, thinking her daughter was simply running ahead of schedule. But hours passed, and Riley never returned home. Friends and family began to sense that something was seriously wrong. The quiet worry of a mother, initially easy to dismiss as normal teenage unpredictability, grew into panic. Calls went unanswered. Messages weren't returned. Each passing hour tightened the knot of fear. By the afternoon, it was clear that this was no ordinary teenage delay. Riley Crossman was missing, and the normal routines of a family's day had been shattered. The small clues, empty bedroom, personal items left behind, were the first signs that a tragedy had begun unfolding in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. As hours passed on May 8, Riley's absence began to alarm her family. Chantel Oakley reached out to Riley's boyfriend, Hayden Lacey, hoping he had seen or heard from her. He hadn't spoken to her either, and the worry in Chantel's mind grew. Realizing something was seriously wrong, Chantel contacted the police to report Riley as missing. Initially, officers treated the case like many teenage disappearances. Sometimes assumed to be runaways, this common protocol, while standard, caused critical delays in the early hours of the investigation. Despite the initial classification, law enforcement soon recognized the urgency of Riley's disappearance. Officers arrived at the Crossman household and carefully searched her bedroom, looking for clues, signs of forced entry, or anything that could indicate where she had gone. Personal belongings, the state of her room, and missing items were all carefully documented, painting a troubling picture of a sudden disappearance. As the investigation progressed, law enforcement uncovered a shocking and horrifying reality. Blood stains were found on Riley's mattress and pillows, evidence that suggested foul play rather than a simple runaway. The case escalated quickly, transforming from a missing teen investigation into a potential homicide. The severity of the situation prompted the FBI and state police to join the investigation, recognizing the urgency and complexity of the crime. Every lead was scrutinized, and investigators focused on individuals close to Riley at the time of her disappearance. Andy McCauley, Riley's mother's boyfriend, immediately drew attention that he failed a polygraph test, complicated by the influence of cocaine, raising red flags about his credibility. His stories contained inconsistencies, and investigators noted 5 unexplained hours missing from his work schedule. Surveillance footage further contradicted his statements, heightening suspicion. Riley's boyfriend, Hayden Lacey, also came under scrutiny. While he wasn't suspected of direct violence, he admitted to deleting messages from Riley's phone. Among the recovered texts were her final communications. Messages revealing fear, including one stating, "I am scared," reportedly after Andy entered her room. Together, these discoveries painted a chilling picture. Riley had confided her fear to someone she trusted, and the inconsistencies from those closest to her suggested that the danger had been inside her home all along. These revelations pushed investigators to dig deeper, uncovering the disturbing truths that would eventually lead to arrests and charges. Forensic analysis provided some of the most damning evidence in the case. Investigators discovered Andy McCauley's DNA mixed with Riley's saliva on a pillow in her bedroom. This suggested close contact under violent circumstances, pointing to smothering or suffocation. Combined with other evidence, authorities began considering a possible sexual motive, deepening the horror of the situation. Every detail of the forensic findings intensified the investigation, making it clear that Riley's disappearance was no ordinary teenage runaway case. Meanwhile, the search for Riley became a massive community effort. Volunteers, friends, classmates, and neighbors scoured Berkeley Springs, walking trails, wooded areas, and streets near her home. Schools and local organizations helped organize search parties, distributing flyers and coordinating with police to follow every lead. Investigators focused heavily on Andy McCauley's movements. They mapped his travel routes, retraced his daily schedule, and interviewed people who had seen him in the critical hours surrounding Riley's disappearance. Every anomaly, every unexplained hour, and every contradiction was analyzed in painstaking detail. The combination of forensic evidence and relentless community searching gradually painted a clearer picture of what had happened to Riley. It became increasingly evident that the danger she faced was not from a stranger, but from someone close to her, someone she should have been able to trust. These discoveries marked a turning point in the investigation, shifting the case from a desperate search for a missing girl to the pursuit of justice for a brutally murdered teenager. On May 16, 2019, nearly a week after Riley Crossman went missing, her remains were discovered near Tuscarora Pike in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Her body was wrapped in heavy black trash bags, a grim attempt to conceal the tragedy. Advanced decomposition had set in, and her clothing appeared disturbed, signaling a violent struggle or attempt to hide evidence. Investigators noted a white wall compound on her shoes, and nearby screws matched tools found in Andy McCauley's truck, linking him directly to the location and scene of the crime. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community. Friends, family, and neighbors were forced to confront the devastating reality that Riley would never come home. The autopsy, complicated by decomposition, could not definitively determine a precise cause of death. Despite this, the manner of death was officially ruled a homicide. While much of the evidence was circumstantial, it was compelling. Forensic links, witness statements, and inconsistencies in Andy McCauley's accounts created a strong case pointing to him. Investigators combined physical evidence with digital records and timelines to build a narrative of premeditation and betrayal. Though the details were horrific, the evidence provided a path toward justice. Riley's story, once a missing person case, had now become a full homicide investigation, and the focus shifted entirely to those who had failed to protect her, and those responsible for ending her life. By September 2021, the case against Andy McCauley had moved into the courtroom, where months of investigation, evidence collection, and witness statements would be tested in front of a jury. He faced multiple serious charges: first-degree murder, concealment of a body, and the death of a child by a custodian. The defense focused on the lack of direct evidence, attempting to create doubt about Andy's involvement in Riley's death. They highlighted the absence of a clear cause of death and questioned the reliability of circumstantial evidence. The prosecution, however, painted a very different picture. They carefully presented inconsistencies in Andy's timeline, lies told to investigators, and the damning forensic links: blood evidence, DNA, and tools connected to the scene. Digital evidence, surveillance footage, and witness testimonies all pointed to a premeditated and deliberate act. After deliberation, the jury returned a verdict of guilty of first-degree murder. The sentence was 2 life terms without the possibility of parole. In this case, the jury rejected any notion of mercy, sending a clear message: the gravity of Riley's death could not be overlooked. For Riley's family, the verdict brought a measure of justice, though it could never replace the life lost. For the community, it was a chilling reminder of the dangers that can hide behind closed doors. The trial reinforced the importance of vigilance, awareness, and speaking up when warning signs appear. Thank you for watching this story. If Riley's story moved you, like, subscribe, and share to raise awareness about teen safety and the warning signs of abuse. Speak up for victims, honor their memory, and help prevent tragedies like this from happening again.